unless of course they're dangerous.
Oh, okay. Who's dangerous?
No, I don't think there's such thing as a dangerous filmmaker.
Really?
I don't know. Like, I think it's okay that some films are banned because, you know, you got to have some standards. But that's not my area.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to not have to worry about that sort of thing. It's like me watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I just won't do it. It's too scary.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
But I loved Aj's remake of The Hills Have Eyes. That was pretty onto it. But then I haven't seen like Human Centipede or anything like that.
I can't watch that.
Oh,
Yeah, there was a discussion about it at uni, and ever since I'm like, I'm scarred just from the conversation.
I
think it was.
I really love.
They were remaking the second one and stuff, so there was a whole discussion. And I was like, I can't even be in this room anymore. Yeah.
I really liked the Japanese horror film Audition, which is by Takashi Miike, and he's probably famously the hardest working Japanese filmmaker because he's made so many films, and the films he makes a lot of the time are ridiculously gory.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually because he has a sense of humor about it. He goes over the top so nobody will take it seriously, so it's not offensive, which I think is really cool. Also, he's actually really talented. Like Ecchi the Killer and Audition are brilliant films. And they're not just brilliant in the kind of B-movie way, like Brian Trenchard Smith films, who Tarantino likes apparently. He's a real artist, and I respect that. And it's kind of the opposite of Hollywood churning out crap and making people love it or not care.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that super CGI remakes of classic films are crap. I'm saying that Hollywood likes to remake films and reboot and do all this stuff that seems to work. And because it seems to work, they think it's a winning formula. And it's not. There's no such thing as a winning formula unless you spend $200 billion on marketing. Sorry.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, and then it becomes, the same thing all the time, and then it loses its value if it ever had any, because it's just the same thing.
Yeah. And then even the ignorant worker rats will there's a Simpsons reference. Well, even they will start to rebel.
Yeah, get bored.
And when that happens, the whole thing comes crashing down. Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, should we talk about what the specific products and services you're making and why? Because you had the 9. Should we run through them?
Yeah, I had the 9. So, what's the first one?
Yeah, I can run through it for you. I mean, the one of the sentence you wrote actually was, all I want to do is write, design, and make movies, cartoons, and games. And in that sentence, you are kind of saying how you just don't want all the rest of it, right? You don't want the publicity, and you don't have to worry about, competing or personality or, what people think. Yeah, that sentence kind of says, that's what you're focused on. So ignore everything else. But yeah, so you're doing, the first one was animation. So tell me about that. What are you doing?
Well, my plan is inspired by Don Hertzfeldt, David Firth, and maybe a little bit of Wani, Angie, Chris
Okay.
O'Neill. What they do is they have, and Davey Redden, the guy who did Stanley Parable as well, and he summed it up really nicely by saying, I know how to create hallways and I know how to record a voice. So I just made a game that was all about that. And to me, that's like, you've got very limited resources or very limited set of skills, and you're just incredibly creative at how you tell a story, or how you design a mechanic, or create interactivity. It's all the same thing, like telling a story, creating a mechanic, and designing interactivity are all, they're different, but they've all at their core got creativity and imagination and intellect to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So you've got this ability to tell stories or the rest of it, and you're hugely limited in what you can actually do with the medium because you are not an engineer or whatever. So Don Hertzfeldt, David Firth, the guys I mentioned, they make these. Well, Don Hertzfeldt did It's Such a Beautiful Day, which is a very powerful film about mental illness, but it uses stick figure animation, like actual stick figures.
Is that a short one? It kind of rings a bell.
No, it's a he made like 3 short films and stitched them together and sold it as a feature film.
Okay, that's good.
Which I think is genius.
Yeah. I've heard of it, but yeah, I'll check it out.
I just love. I was inspired by the fact that all these guys have brilliant storytelling instincts, and they almost mess with you the way that they limit themselves to what they can do, but they are so creative that it doesn't matter that that's all they can do.
Yeah.
You know, even if they can do more.
Yeah.
They're using a very small set of skills, but an infinite amount of creativity. And a lot of people don't see that, or at least don't see the technical side of that. And I'm thinking, wow, if they can do that, well, I wonder if I can.
Yeah.
And so my goal really is to learn lip sync animation by YouTube and Adobe Animate, and turn some of my cartoons into stories by adding dialogue to start with. And I have a ton of cartoons that I could, like, making stories is really easy for me. It's like making real things is really the hard part.
Yeah. The cartoons, the sketches on your website are quite like weird and strange, and they're like random monsters. So are those the kind of creatures that you're gonna bring to life in animation?
Yeah, that's the goal. I'll probably make more of them though. I'll start off like tweaking, playing around with some of the ones I've already created. I was thinking about writing a story, like a script for. It's like that idea of having to write to a budget or creating restrictions for myself. If I create a restriction that is you can only use these characters or characters that you draw on top of that, well, I've written with restrictions before, and that's not going to be a problem for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just write a script, and then I get to use that script to tell stories with characters that I've created, and we'll see how good it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've got solid ideas there, and it'll be good. I'm expecting some real surreal cartoon though.
Yeah, it probably will be. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to write at
Yeah.
this point. But I like that. Sometimes I am tired of knowing everything I'm going to write. Sometimes I want to write something a bit different
Mhm.
and change my approach a little bit and start fresh and just try to write something new. And when I do that, I get about 3 goes before I'm already writing everything again.